Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this very special session of dtalks or Disruptive Literacy Talks. I'm your host, Mashood. As we continue to discuss disruptive ideas that have worked on a large scale with respect to improving quality in school education and especially in the foundational skills of children, we would like to, in today's talk, bring to focus an organization and a foundation which has been doing exemplary work in the field of education since many years now. All of us are aware of the initiatives of Bharti Foundation and the work which has been done with respect to the Bharti schools, and they have also worked a lot in improving education and also the foundational skills of children through their innovative methods as well. And more recently, they have also released a report on the status of remote learning of children in collaboration with Central Square Foundation. Is also something which has been a part of our forum's talks over the past 3 months, and this is also something which we would like to discuss today. So it's an honor for us to welcome Shri Antony Nellissery, who is the chief of school excellence at Bharti Foundation. Antony ji has previously also been associated with UNICEF and Save the Children, and in fact, he started his journey as a teacher as well, and is now in charge of leading the quality aspect of school education across hundreds and thousands of schools across India. So Antony ji, thank you so much for finding time and joining us on this forum, and we welcome you and we're really eagerly looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Mashood, for inviting me to do talks, and it's a real pleasure to address your viewers on this important aspect of foundation literacy and numeracy, and that's a talk of the town these days. And that's also a reason, I think, because of the lockdown, there's a lot of challenges in that foundational area, because the whole focus of last one and a half year has been mainly class 9 to 12. Whether it is good, whether it is for good or whether it is for bad, that is where the focus of many schools have happened, because that's the board classes. Somehow the foundational classes is something which has been missing. So to set the context for on this discussion and to connect with what we are doing as a foundation, I would like to share a small PPT with you, so that it will set the context, and then we can have continue the interaction on the topic. So I hope it's visible. Mashood, is it visible?
Yes, Anthony ji, the PPT is visible now.
So I'm titling my presentation as Skills Beyond School, because I personally believe when we talk about literacy and numeracy, which has been spoken in detail about NCERT, just to set the context, I have taken the snapshot from the NCERT syllabus. What they are talking about foundational literacy and numeracy, we are talking about recognizing the primacy of early education. Many of the countries outside India, they give a lot of importance to the primary classes, the foundational classes, and the best teachers are there in the foundational classes. Not necessarily the best teachers are in the PGT or in the colleges, and they are the most highly paid, because they have understood the foundation has to be really strong, and that is prerequisite for any learning. This is just to tell you what is the status that is going on with the various data that is there. There is a dropout rate in some of the state in a special way. There's low learning levels. There are students who are not able to read class 2 readings, even at the class 5 or 8 level. So there is a loss of linguistic and mathematical skills in this aspect. And what are we looking at in these curricular expectation? And what are we trying to do through the assessment? So what exactly the type of assessment we are doing? It's another question that we would like to pose during this particular discussion. Now, if I were to ask in general, this was a kind of a quick a summary of what is expected by NCERT in the foundational literacy and learning. Now, what do educational institutions need to do to transform themselves? If you look at it, if you look at the graduates who are coming out recently, there was a study that came out. more than 75% of graduates were unemployable. They were, it's not they were not qualified, they all passed, but of those who passed, 75% of them were unemployable. And what are the situations we are dealing? There is some incremental changes happen over time. Students have started scoring 90%. That has become common now these days. 99 and 100% is something now to vouch for. Rote learning is coming in a big way. Students started studying only to score marks. Maybe we will create few more schools, few more universities to ensure universal education. Are the teachers engaged to this? And it is in this context I would like to say, if we have to really get into foundational literacy and learning, we need to focus on the skills rather than the syllabus to be completed. This is just like Maslow's theory is there. We can even look at Maslow's theory of the skills that we are looking at it. There are various skill sets that needs to be acquired, developed by the students at the schooling age. And there are few skills at the foundational level that a student needs to acquire.
And Anthony ji, sorry to interrupt you. Your presentation is still on the very first slide. I just wanted to check if okay,
Okay, now I think I need. Okay, that means you were not able to
slides are-
see all these slides. Okay, sorry, I think there is a issue of sharing. I will share again.
Yes. If you would like, you may use the slideshow option also. Maybe that could help navigate.
Okay, instead of showing a slideshow, I'll just look at the slide itself. You're saying like this, I
Yes.
will go for like this. All right. All right, just to
Yes.
quickly summarize in 30 seconds, I was just showing foundational learning literacy as envisaged by NCRT. And we are looking at no the if you look at the details of low learning levels, increased dropout rate, lack of linguistic and mathematical skills that is envisaged and expected out of this overall national target that has been kept. Now, where all these things are missing, why this simple thing as pre-number concepts, number sense, basic linguistic skills are missing, is because if you look at the now look at the other spectrum. We have looked at the foundational learning literacy. Look at the other higher spectrum. 75% of the graduates are unemployable. Why this is happening in our schooling education system? Is because we are not focusing on the skills at the appropriate level, and we are having an incremental loss rather than an incremental gain. So I have shown you what are envisaged at the NCRT various foundation literacy and numeracy level. Now, when they come out of graduation, 75% of them are not employable. It's not because they have not passed that particular exam. They don't have the basic skill set which makes a individual employable or able to run a business as an entrepreneur. And just like Maslow's theory has their own needs, that is mentioned on the right triangle, on the left you will find, which along with my colleague we have written a book called Skills Edge, and we have tried to categorize. There are various levels of skills that children needs to learn at the various level. At the foundational level also we need to have their cognitive, logical skills, adaptive skills, emotive skills, and social skills. Similarly, as they go to primary, upper primary, secondary and senior secondary school, the same skill set in its intensity has to be increased. If those skills are not learned at the right time, then we are going to have not an incremental gain, there's an incremental loss that happens. Before I move forward, I would like to talk about a captain, the movie Captain, which I've seen some time back. So this particular movie is, this whole situation is the flight is taking off and moving to one of the, it's in China, from Beijing to one of the other Himalayan airport they are getting into, and they are getting into so much of storm, and finally the captain lands the aeroplane safely. And there is a kind of various questions that comes during the movie. One of the points that mentioned by the captain of the flight was the quote that is of that particular trainer: "I am training you so that I can be at peace when my family travel in flight where you are the captain." That was the words of the trainer of this particular captain. Now, if you convert this whole captain and the crew and the passengers into our schooling system. Captain definitely is the head of the school. The crew are the teachers and the non-teaching staff, and the passengers are the students. If a captain of the flight, just like a head of the school, decides, they don't have a choice. Passengers comes and goes. They don't have a choice of the cruise. It is as per the list. Students, the passengers, they don't have an idea who are going to come in. But once they come in, the captain makes sure there is a delivery, there is a takeoff, and there is a safe delivery. That is the responsibility of the captain. Similarly, if each of our schooling system, whether it is at the foundational level or at the higher education level, looks at that head of the school and their crew work together to ensure the passengers, that is the students, are safe from the takeoff to the landing. So takeoff of the foundational literacy level to its primary level, primary to the secondary level, secondary to higher education level. I think this particular issue of lack of FLN doesn't come in the future. Now, there are various ways and means you can make sure the simple numeracy skills and literacy skills are not only enjoyable, but it is skill based. If it was a live interactive session, I would have always demonstrated this particular example, but I will explain this whole thing. If I ask a question straightforward, 20 plus 20, all of you will give the answer as 40 very quickly. But it becomes a boring question and answer. After that, you can add on 20 plus 25, 45. You keep on adding those questions. But the moment I convert these classes in such a way that I'm asking these type of question, what are those questions that you can ask to give you an answer of 40? In the process, you will find all the students are trying to give different answers. What am I trying to do as a teacher, mathematics teacher, to the students? While I am trying to develop their various mathematical skills, I'm also trying to develop various values and attitudes. Listen to each other's answers. You have to respect each other. There is no one right answer. All have their own viewpoint. They have their own answers. And then come into the various value discussion. Even a mathematics class can be a fun class, value-based class into it. Now, in Bharti Foundation, what are we doing? Having said that, we need to focus on the skills. If you focus on the skills, any type of education can be achieved. The outcome will be definitely phenomenal. Children will make us proud. This is a photo of our primary elementary school, the photo that you see on the top. And the second photo that you see on the bottom is that of a senior secondary school. So we have our primary elementary school in Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan, UP, Tamil Nadu, and West Bengal. And it is following the respective state syllabus. It is in the respective state mediums. Senior secondary, we have 5 in Punjab, which is under public-private partnership. It is affiliated to CBSE. Now, taking the learning from Satyabhati schools, we have started the Satyabhati Quality Support Program, which is supporting the government school to engage with the school leaders and teachers for a better schooling experience. We are following a whole school approach, though we don't get into the academics. Our overall presence is in 14 states in government school program and 6 states in our own Greenfield project, Satyabhati School Program. Just like any other schooling system, we are focusing on student, teachers, parents, community, and overall schooling environment. And we are trying to provide various opportunities for our students to develop their skills. It gives you an idea the type of schooling system that we have, the interior place where we are working. We are all in the villages. We are into rural education. We are not into urban education. Now, what has happened in this change? If you're focusing on the skills, the change is phenomenal. This is just to give you an idea of what has been our achievement of our children, apart from the board results, which you would have seen already in our various information sharing. This is one child example. We have many various examples like this who have fought child marriages into the area where we are working. There are children who have started teaching their parents, grandparents on how to improve the literacy, which they have missed in their childhood. So there is a role reversal that is happening in education. This is an example of child marriages, which I have already talked to you about. And there are other examples where teachers have started becoming a role model and also trying to change the mindset of not only of the parents, trying to give dreams to the children to become. Some of them have come back as teachers into our schooling system. There are students who have started taking various campaigns on road safety. During the corona times, the lockdown times, there are students who have moved around trying to create awareness. It has also caught the attention of some of the local TV channels. This is just to give you an idea how students can make a change if you are given the right opportunity. It's one of the examples from Rajasthan, where they are trying to do the plantation and overcome the desert that they are around. It's trying to how to instill healthy habits. It's coming into the picture, and various campaigns and various activities are provided in the school to realize the full potential of the students. And there are some students who have helped their parents to come out of the substance abuse. There are so many examples we can look at it from our Bharti Foundation experiences. And I would like to end with this particular slide. We did a kind of a research to see what has been the change that our students are making, or what is our experience. And we find that in Satyabhati school, apart from the academic improvement that is happening, we are also proud to say that the value-based improvement that is seen in our students is comparatively, it's a good delta compared to the other schools which are in the nearby area. If you see in the data, higher positivity. Our students are reporting 72% vis-a-vis other schools, almost 57.9%. There is a good delta of change. Acceptance of mistakes, 82% versus 77%. If we are looking at now response of aggression, it was much lower, 2.9% in our schools versus 11.5 in other schools as such. With regard to communication, 81% versus 68. Similarly on the parents and community. So I can go on and talk about various things that our students have done. This is another example where girl children, one of the girl children have impacted a change by making sure untouchability is reduced or removed from that particular villages. And this is one place where we have taken this example to all our schooling system, where girl child birth is celebrated in the villages, especially in the area Punjab, Haryana, and all the places where so much of female feticide is taking place. Our children are becoming a beacon of light, where promoting gender empowerment as such. So I can go on and on this aspect where our children have really started making a difference in the lives of the village and among themselves. What we are looking at is children who are coming out of our schooling system needs to be good citizens, contributing citizens, not only to to themselves as an individual development, but also should develop the whole village which is around the area. So I think I will stop here. I think it's too long a person to talk to.
Thank you, Antony ji, for that wonderful and very refreshing presentation on the wonderful work being done by Bharti Foundation. You've raised some very important points, and I would like to start with one point which you made about that when we are talking about learning of children, it has to be developing certain skills or learning certain skills at the right time, right? If that timing is not taken care of, then it can actually be a problem. Would you like to share a bit more as to how the curriculum and the pedagogy and the whole program of Bharti Foundation addresses this specific issue of timing, of the right time? If you'd like to elaborate a bit more.
So we are looking at, say, we have from pre-primary, that is 1 year before class 1, up to class 5 in our primary schools, up to class 8 in our elementary school, and we have only 5 senior secondary schools. So I will largely focus on the primary schooling system. So when we are looking at what is the achievement that needs to be achieved by the pre-primary students, what is to be achieved by the class 1 student, the national survey talks about the students learning in class 3, 5, 8, mainly in these 3 classes. But that is because as a survey you cannot have all the classes and all the students. It gives you an indication. Class 1, the Ministry of Education has already envisaged what needs to be achieved by the end of class 1, what needs to be achieved class 2. So in our system, we are doing as much as possible activity based, project based learning system. In our local, in the lower classes, in a special way, we have to have a lot of activities. However, we are not putting too much pressure on the teachers. You have to complete that particular textbook, because what's the point in completing the textbook and the students have not learned? In fact, when I used to go and visit the school, I always, if I have to check the reading skills of the students, I don't ask them to read the chapter. I used to go to the library that we have, and I ask them, this is a class 1 level, okay, let's take it, read it. If you can read it, you know how to read. Simple as that. Most of us have got caught up with the textbook. Oh, we have to finish that textbook. Yes, many of our teachers are also under the pressure that I need to complete the syllabus. There will be question from our district coordinators or cluster coordinator if not completed. But when we go from HO saying that we need to have a balance, yes, syllabus is important, but what is the purpose of this chapter is to ensure that reading, writing, speaking, listening is improved. So we have to get back to them again and again on the outcome rather than the process, rather than the input that is required. Most of the schooling system only focuses on the input. एक syllabus complete karo, you finish this chapter. But what is the outcome? By this chapter, I need to make sure these basic skills, linguistic skill, reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Similarly, for numerical skills, these are the basic operations, and the numerical skills are important. I remember when I started my career as a teacher, when one of the schools, interior place where I went, I was supposed to teach the board classes, class 10. I got a shock of myself when I entered into the class. I had students who did not have the basic operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, sitting in class 10. I'm talking about in the 1995, when I got into the classroom. But we had to do the bridge course and the remedial courses. For these students, the first 3 months, we did not touch the board syllabus. First 3 months, we just gave them the basics. But after 3 months, when the students started learning the basics, the confidence started, and the syllabus, the so-called board syllabus, went very quick. So all the skill set are important at the lower level to give them the confidence. What are you trying to give the students in education? Confidence. All the skill set. Who are the students who are dropping out? Those students who are dropping out, those who do not have this basic skill set, they lack confidence, and gradually they move out. So the lower attendance is an indicator for dropout. If the attendance is less, definitely the learning skill, also learning of the skills, various skills taught in the classroom also will come down. But the moment that attendance comes down, it's a high signal for the management to say, watch out, the students are missing out on the basic things. So we watch on the attendance, we watch on the remedial process that is going on in the classroom, and we also support the teacher on a day-to-day basis to see what is the gap. If the teacher is having any gap, through various teacher training, need-based training, also mentoring support that we do. So it has to be a concerted effort. A teacher cannot be doing everything independently every time. Yes, teacher is the main pillar for student education. All of us agree that. But at the same time, we need to create a support system, ecosystem for the teachers to perform. Sometime I remember when I go and visit some schools in other states where not necessarily our project, please allow us to work. There are so many circulars coming from the top. Teachers don't know when to teach. So the focus is, yes, we need to provide an ecosystem. And what we are trying to do as a foundation is providing an ecosystem to our teachers so that they are able to make sure the outcome is achieved. Maybe, when we monitor, we find that some of the schools are 1 week behind curriculum. It's okay. We are not so much worried about that. Okay, if they are behind, have they learned the basic skill set? So these are some of the ways in which we get into implementing the curriculum that is there. Also managing the monitoring of it. So implementing is important, but we need to closely monitor and support, give a support system. That will help the teachers to perform much better than that we are performing now.
A very important point which you mentioned about, often we as in the school ecosystem are stuck on the processes, right? Like completing chapters, completing curriculum. But we see that because of the pandemic and this pause on teaching learning, which has happened for a large portion of children, and all the studies which are coming on the learning losses, Azim Premji Foundation to to quote one, which is talking about large number of children losing their foundation skills. So your point of, that we are no longer that grade level segregation of me being at grade 5 and me being at grade 4 and be reading from this textbook, it seems it doesn't seem very relevant, at least for the current period. So what would your advice or approach be with respect to children who are coming back after a break, this long break because of COVID? What approaches would you say teachers need to integrate in their day-to-day classroom with respect to getting children back on track? Your thoughts on that?
So I think we need to focus it should be a two-pronged strategy. Just like you have quoted Asim Premji report, there are various other reports. I think Oxfam, UNICEF, they have come out with reports. There's a big learning loss that is there. Now, apart from learning loss, there is an emotional loss or stress that is there also with the children. I think not too many people are recognizing that aspect. So what we are doing in our schooling system is, when the students started coming into the new academic year, we started with what we call as happiness classes, well-being classes, mindfulness classes, so that students are able to come out of themselves. Remember, all of us were stressed out in the lockdown, but nobody is really bothered about the stress the students are having, because that's a time they have to go out and play, and they were completely restricted to the four walls of the houses. So the stress and they are not able to meet their friends, talk to their friends. They are not able to play with their friends. And many of the schooling system, students go to the school to meet their friends and play with their friends. So that there is a complete cutoff of the social aspect of the schooling education system. Many of the private schools would have managed through the technological advantage to connect with their children, but there are various am I connected? Suddenly I lost in between, I guess. There are so many government school and budget schools where they were not even able to connect. I think overall connectivity in India is about 50%. In our schooling system, it is 82%. We have been able to connect with children virtually. That means through WhatsApp or internet based. Remaining 18%, we couldn't connect by internet. We had to find out various other ways and means. So we connected them what we call as phone shala. So that means teacher is painstakingly calling up student one after another and talking to them, discussing with them. And when it got opened up a bit, we started having Gramshala. So the teacher will go to an open place and start doing it. But the focus is continuous innovation to reach the children. So the question that you are saying, now when you are coming back, we need to make sure they are stress-free. Otherwise, no learning will get into it. Most of the schooling have started, there's so much of learning loss. Let's start pumping again the learning. But that will only boomerang. The students will be, have more disinterest, more stress problem, and they will also their disinterest, lack of interest will grow on the learning aspect. There will be more dropouts in the future. Remember, the students who are in class 2 today, they have never seen what is a school. They have never seen, because many of the government system start with class 1. Now all of them have moved to class 2 without even getting into a classroom. Now they will be moving to class 3 because there is no sign of opening for class 1 to 5 students in many of the states. So that means by the time they reach class 3 or class 2 or class 3, they are moved from one class to another without too much of education or even knowing what is a school system. So what we have tried in our school, we started with mindfulness, so that both teachers, even our teacher training, start with mindfulness activity. Let's not start with the training. Let's make sure that teachers are also stress-free. Give them a kind of happiness quotient so that they're able to do their work properly. Then started with the bridge course. In some of the states which have started the academic year in April, we have just ended the bridge course. Some other states which started late, we are just in the process of finishing it. So the bridge course will accelerate the learning, but it is not going to completely bridge the gap. As I call it, the catch up. There's a big loss that has happened in the last 1.5 years. The catch up also will not finish in 1 year. It will take 2 or 3 years. So we have decided to run this year bridge course. We are hoping that at least some 30 to 40% learning loss can be reduced. Next year again, once this particular is completed, we will again do the bridge course for next year as well, so that the learning gap is reduced to a great extent in this year and next year put together.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, Antony ji. You also mentioned about the Satyabhati quality support program, where the Bharti Foundation is building capacity of government school systems as well. And one unique element or one highlight of this program we saw was the course scholastic interventions. Right, it's kind of a holistic transformation of the public school education system, and making them happy, joyful learning spaces through course scholastic interventions. Would you like to share a bit more as to what these interventions have been, and how have government schools taken ownership over them to sustain them?
So you have rightly captured the essence of that particular point. We have started with the various co-scholastic activities because we had taken a conscious decision that we will not get into scholastic because there are teachers who are very qualified and good in that. But what is missing in any schooling system is the student teacher engagement. So through co-scholastic activities, what we have achieved is better student engagement, better teacher student engagement, better parent school engagement for an overall school environment. So we have undertaken various activities in terms of competition, in terms of workshops, in terms of exposure, in terms of other external competitions to the students. And that student leadership aspect we have started to bring forward. So we have introduced clubs and house system just like any other elite private school into it. And I remember, I don't want to name the state, I visited one of the government schools in one of the states when we initially started this process. And one of the teachers said, "Sir, I think it's going to be burdensome for us. There are more activities coming in. It's going to be difficult." But when we completed the process after 3 months, I went and visited the same school. They said, now we are able to spend more time on the real work that we are supposed to do, that is the real teaching, learning, and development of students. Then I asked, "Madam, why did you say so? 3 months ago, it was different." What happened is, many of the students, through this clubs and house system, the leaders have started coming up. The students have started taking leadership activities. Many of the so-called activities which the teachers were busy with, students started taking initiative. To organize sports day, why do we need teachers? Why can't the students do it? To organize a science exhibition, why do you need teachers to be there? Teachers need to guide them, help them. Students can do it. In the process, what happens? Students' leadership skill develops, various other skills which are related to teamwork, collaboration skills, coordination skills, all those skills started improving. And as an output of that, or as an outcome of that, they started performing in the academic classes also well. I think in Delhi, one of the government functionary publicly told some of the initiative that was done has helped in improvement of the board result as well. So we realize that academic is not the only important thing in a school education. That is also important. That's not the only important. So that is why we say scholastic and co-scholastic. So if you focus on co-scholastic, which is complementing the scholastic part, definitely scholastic also will improve.
Very important point that you made, that it's when we talk about the foundational skills also, so even the different aspects, the ones which you mentioned, the 21st century skills and the life skills, these are so very important into feeding back into your academic scholastic skills as well. And it's really important. We in fact, one of our audience members also is appreciating this by saying that, rightly said, through education we want to give them confidence, and these skills essentially which you mentioned are giving these children the confidence as well. Another point which you mentioned, which we found very interesting, was children taking leadership to teach their parents, and this is something which we here at Global Dream have also used as a primary method in our literacy movements, where school children are leaders of change. And even children, we have found that even children as young as 10 to 12 years old are so capable that they are able to make other people literate as well. And so what did you find that these children who are taking leadership in their community, especially with respect to teaching, what changes did you find in them with respect to like their own confidence and skills?
In fact, this particular initiative was inspired by one of our students. We did not start this initiative. This adult, so-called, we don't want to call it as adult literacy. Why I will say why I'm saying that, because we are not into adult literacy. But this particular initiative was one of the student in West Bengal who noticed that his or her parent was not able to sign the register. So he started with teaching their parents how to read, write, and speak. When we came to know, Mr. Mittal said, let this be done in all the schools. It's a good thing. Let us see how our students can help their parents and grandparents into basic literacy and numeracy. So we started the program called Sakshara Bharti Abhiyan. So as a process of that, we requested all the class 4 students and above to start teaching their parents and grandparents who were illiterate. So in the process, what happens? We were using this as a reinforcing method. So we had little simple booklets where they have to complete the syllabus in the summer holidays. So it was given as a holiday homework to them, and they are very, very meticulous. See, when the students start teaching, they also become better learners. So when we realize, when they come back, they are more attentive because they know that they have to go and help the parent and grandparent at home in some of the things. And once that particular aspect is over, they come back. They come back to the school, and the teachers do a quick small test to see whether they are able to do it. So in the process, the bonding between the student and their parents or grandparents has improved. And even the parents, from that point of view, they were also elated. Now they are able to do the basic reading and writing. Many of them who are putting a thumb impression, they started signing. So their confidence also has gone up, not just as students confidence. So yes, it has been a good experience from this. And I think in the first 2 years, now I don't remember the exact data, the first 2 years we were also excited, and we were monitoring. More than 20,000 parents have been turned illiterate from that particular initiative. So it has been a reinforcing mechanism for the students to reiterate what they have learned. But at the same time, it is a benefit for the society in general. That's why I don't want to call it as adult literacy.
Absolutely, yeah. Truly inspiring to learn about this story, and thank you for sharing about that. Here, I would like to also ask you to shed more light on the recent report which the Bharti Foundation has launched with collaboration with CSF on the remote learning in times of COVID. So would you like to give us some of the brief, like some of the key highlights? And there's one specific statistic which we found very interesting, was where the time spent on the mobile phone by both the girls as well as the boys is coming out to be the same in the school survey, which seems to be kind of very different to some of a lot of other reports and arguments being made about a major gender bias with respect to mobile phone screen time. What do you feel could be the possible reasons of this balance being found in the Satyabhati school survey?
I think it was not a 1 year effort or 2 year effort. From the time it started in 2006-7, our focus has been girl child education. Yes, we are into school education, but there is a specific focus on girl child education. So you would have seen in my PPT presentation that I made a lot of examples on stopping child marriages, trying to encourage the birth of a child, a girl child, go and celebrate. Student is allowed to pick up some of the TLM material and go and start decorating the houses. And if a student is asking a teacher, I need some decoration, we have told them, please give it without any question. So we have promoted a girl child focus in terms of education. And you will see that in the states where we are working, female feticide also and child marriage is also comparatively high compared to the other states. So we have been working constantly in all our monitoring system. We always look at how many enrollment, is it boys, girls, learning level, boys, girls, leadership, boys, girls, so that there is an equal opportunity that needs to be given to the boys and girls. So when we say gender empowerment, doesn't mean that we only give to girls or only to the boys. We provide equal opportunity. Even in the winning of awards, we look at, are the children coming forward? Is that true representation even at the participation level, also at the winning level? If at the participation level there is a 50-50, why are we not getting at the winning level? Are we not preparing our children sufficiently? So maybe we focus on that. So there is a kind of a girl child education or girl child enrollment and there is a kind of a campaign mode on an annual basis. That doesn't mean that we forget about the boys, definitely. Here we have to have this because we need to also orient the parents that it is important to educate. So in one of that study that you would have seen, 98% of the parents of the girl children have taken the education way forward. Continue, that itself is a good blessing for us. So when this particular survey took place, initially we realized around 81 75 percentage were connected. Gradually that percentage moved to 82 percentage. Then our fear was, are our girl children getting enough access? So that is the reason we went into this particular survey. And I think it is the orientation and effort that has been there in the last 10 14 years that has helped here. So prior to this particular lockdown, coincidentally, we started something called phone PTM. So we started calling all the parents and started helping them to understand how their mobiles can be a source of educational aid for our students. So we try to tell them this is the app that you can download and they can continue revising some of the lessons. If you can give about half an hour to 1 hour every day, it will be a very good thing for your child. We started coming with the concept of home mentoring, and that means to say, if by chance if your parent is not able to help the child, maybe the sibling, elder sibling, or maybe grandparent or uncle nearby, who just focuses on making sure students are able to do their work, and just to cross check, have you done your homework today, have you completed the studies, and so on. This particular two initiatives have helped us in the lockdown to get the support of parents in this regard. So I would say the focus on girl child education and the parent orientation, and that DNA that is there in our schooling system, where teachers will focus, will ensure that girls are also coming to it. If any of the children are absent, there is an immediate teachers visiting the parents' place to see what has happened, especially if it is a second day, more than 2 days. So I think all these series of efforts have helped us to see a good data in terms of usage. And we were also pleasantly surprised, so I would say, and reaffirmed that some of the activity that we have done is bearing fruit.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on this idea. And it's truly remarkable to see this push and this sense of of gender equality and equality of opportunity, which has been very central to the work of Bharti Foundation. So thank you for sharing that. Here, I would like to take one more question. Shifali Jaiswal is asking, how can we prepare for the next emergency situation? What skills needs to be prioritized for such emergencies, such that there's no loss of education like we had in the COVID pandemic? So many people are even saying that this is not going to be the last pandemic. So what would your thoughts be on how do we prepare our school systems for such crisis?
There are 2 3 skills that we need to learn. In fact, we may be some of those fortunate or unfortunate, some people say. When I look at the history, every start of every century there is a pandemic reported in the 20s and 90s and 18s. Now those of us, or if you're looking at the school education per se, those of us who are been able to turn around are those people who had some creativity skills, adaptive skills. These are the 2 skills that is required. Resilience, if I can break down this adaptive skills to resilience, is another skill that we need to look at it. I feel these are the 3 skills that we need to look at it, apart from the collaborative skills. If you are able to develop in our students these skills from the young age onwards, no matter what pandemic, they'll be able to adapt to anyone. If you look at the teachers, how they've turned around the schooling system, all the teachers have worked hard. There was no training how to manage it during pandemic, right? How to manage pandemic times. There was no training in April, May. By the time the training started, it was already one end of the year, because the trainers, so-called trainers, started understanding, okay, we need to train because otherwise our job is at stake. But the teachers have started doing the teaching of students for the last 8 months. So what happened? It is the resilience and the adaptability that is going to change. Look at the other business centers, business activities that has happened. Whoever has been able to adapt and creatively thinking. So that is why some of the skills like creativity, adaptability, collaborative skills, and of course communication skill. Why? Because many of the thing has become virtual. If you don't communicate properly, you will get the wrong results. So according to me, these are the 3-4 skill set that we need to instill among the students, so that they are able to do well not only into the schooling time, also after. And it will help not only during the schooling time and college time, during any of their job time, or whether it is they are working for someone or they are having their own business. So in both ways it helps. And one of the reason many of the students who pass class 10 board exam or 12 exam, why do they commit suicide? It is because we don't teach them to adapt. We don't teach them to that resilience, accept failures. People think that only if I get 100 I am successful, whereas some of the great people have not those people who have got 100 out of 100. I don't want to name. There are so many names you can look at it. There are dropouts who have come out very well, those who have just passed average marks. Many of the people who are existing in the system as leaders, you will find that they are not the 100 percentile people who have come up on top. So how do we teach the students these skills are important while you're fighting for marks and other things? Why these skills are important? And that's something I feel in its own way we have to start from the foundational level itself. Don't think that we can teach still at the class 10 or 12 level. It has to be taught from foundational level itself.
Thank you, Anthony ji, for your thoughts. In conclusion, we want to also understand your thoughts on this. We have a new mission, which, as per the NEP's vision, that there should be a national mission to achieve universal foundational literacy and numeracy. And the Nipun Bharat mission is talking about clearly defined goals by 26, 27. We all, by grade 3, all children will have the foundational skills. And it also talks about accountability of the education system and making sure what you talked about, that are we achieving the outcomes? So a lot of focus on outcomes. My question to you is, what has your experience and your team's experience been with respect to accountability of teachers and teachers delivering outcomes inside the classroom? And if how would you take those successes and those learnings of having accountability of teachers and schools to a much larger scale, which is the public school education system in India? Your thoughts on that?
No, I'm happy to see that the whole country is moving towards outcome, and there is a lot of big statements saying that by end of class 3 they will achieve this, by end of this year we will achieve this. There has not been a dearth of policies in our country. There is no dearth of policies and processes. Always the problem has been in the implementation of those policies. If you look at it, before the start of this millennium, we started with the DPP. Then we started with the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, SSA. Then we had Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. Then we have now again come back to SSA, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. So all those policies are all well intentioned. But what is the implementation part? So when you look at the implementation part, where all it has been the success? Success has been when there is a kind of shared accountability. In one of the earlier meetings, I think one of the consultation which Nidhi Aayog had done, I was talking about it. There is a kind of a disconnect sometime in our country. There is one person with authority and there is one person having responsibility. And that is where the problem comes. Person who have authority, they don't have responsibility. Those who have responsibility, they don't have an authority. Now take those examples from the point of schooling education system. The accountability has to be top down and not bottom up. Each person who is on the top should be accountable. So in our system, there is something called performance appraisal, which I'm sure everywhere it is there. We are not the first organization to discover performance appraisal. But in our appraisal, though I am working on like a departmental head and there is all the team are below, if students are performing badly, I am equally affected. Though I am not teaching day to day in the classroom. So just like in the teacher appraisal, there is a kind of an element of student development, student outcome. It is way back till at my level, there is a kind of performance appraisal, outcome is there. So the accountability has to be from top down. If people on top are not accountable, don't expect people at the bottom to be accountable. Same time, innovation has to be bottom up. Give freedom, give flexibility. You can be firm, but be flexible. There are various initiatives, like you have heard about, how the literacy program has started. So I have got a lot of examples like that, where we have supported the innovation from the field and scaled up. So our duty, so-called from a management point of view, is look at the good practices and scale it up. So I would say innovation has to be from bottom up. Be firm, but be flexible. At the same time, accountability has to be from the top down. So if this policy, which is very well written and very well coming out, it has to be from the top. People need to be accountable from the top. Why the education, the literacy, when the assessment is done, why students have not been able to read? So which are the educational institutions at the national, state level, district level? What have they done to contribute to this loss or gain? So let us spin the accountability system there, rather than running to the school and saying that teachers, you are not accountable. Teachers will come back with a lot of other things saying that, okay, please allow us to teach. So I feel, to reiterate my point, accountability has to be top down. All of us from the top needs to be accountable to the lack of whatever the achievement at the grassroots level. And we need to provide that ecosystem. Then by default, you will find teachers become accountable and they will rise to the occasion, just like all the teaching community. I have much more respect to the teachers for that wonderful turnaround that they have done. Not too many people speak about it. Of course, I do appreciate our health workers and health system that they have sustained all of us to an extent. But afterwards, when we look at, teachers have done a yeoman service. They have turned around the schooling virtually, and many of them were not so-called computer literate or digital literate. Of course, they knew how to read, how to manage WhatsApp and SMS and other things. But many of them adapted to the new way of working without any major training. So that is where the teachers, given a freedom, given the flexibility, they can do it. You look at when I was a student, I don't remember too many times teachers going up and down to for meetings to train them how to teach us. They were already having a good know-how on that, and they were really interested in us, our development, not only the learning level, overall development. And they were connected to our parents, so that there is a kind of whole ecosystem for the teachers. So I hope and pray that that ecosystem for the teachers to be fully realize their potential and help the students to realize the potential comes soon with these type of policies.
It's a truly remarkable quote that we would like to make quote from you, where you've talked about accountability should be from the top down, and innovation in a way should be from from down to the top, right, to scale up. So and I think that's a very a very radical idea as well, because what we see is a lot of accountability actually unfortunately comes with the child, right? If the child is not able to perform, then it seems that often traditionally the ecosystems have made the child responsible for it. But now we see with organizations such as yours also kind of transforming that ecosystem to create to completely change the shape of the education system. So on that note, Antony ji, we really appreciate you joining us on this session of Detox. You've really helped open a lot of new avenues for thinking for all of us educators and who are listening to us, be it government officers, policymakers, NGOs, teachers. You really helped with your refreshing ideas, helped to kind of rethink about how we need to go forward with respect to not just the foundational literacy and numeracy skills, but also how to build resilience in our school education system and our children. So truly appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much for your thoughts and for your ideas.
Thank you very much once again for inviting, and I'm happy there were a few questions in between, and I'm happy that some of the thoughts were found useful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.